Hello and welcome into the JAX USL Report along with Mauricio Ruiz. I'm Cole Pepper. Remember to subscribe here to our YouTube channel and go to JAXUSL.com to put your deposits down for your season tickets for JAX USL Championship men's soccer and Super League soccer on the women's side. All right, let's get into it. We're down to the final four in the USL Championship playoffs, and I will point out that Mauricio was 4 for 4 on his picks this past weekend. But boy, we have some matchups and we had some games this weekend to look at. Let's start in the East, Mauricio, because boy, did we have some action. We start right with Charleston Battery and Birmingham Legion. Before we get right into this, you predicted Charleston to come out of this one because they have been one of the better teams in the East all year long, but now here they are taking another step toward a title.
Yeah, and if Charleston scores first, it's really difficult to break them down because now they can pack it in, they can play off the counterattack, they play in a low block extremely well. The difference is, and it's going to be interesting going against Louisville, the upcoming weekend, if Louisville gets up on the score first, how does Charleston change their tactics? Do they come out a little bit more? But in this case, against Birmingham, good game, 2-1, but Charleston just had the run of the play.
Yeah, Charleston got the first goal coming at the 68th minute. Derek Dodson's goal proved to be the game winner. Battery in the last four for the first time since 2013, so it's been a decade in between. Emilion Ikaza scored his second goal in as many playoff games for Charleston. That came in the 17th minute, the game winner coming in the 68th. 2-1 the final, Charleston over Birmingham Legion, a team that upset in the first round, got the upset victory as they took out Tampa Bay. So certainly a positive season for Birmingham as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think especially the way they finished the regular season, I think it was really positive because they were really shaky in the middle of the season. They never really got going. I mean, they had a good run in the US Open Cup, and I think that kind of took their, the wind out of their sails a little bit. But you saw Pittsburgh had a different route, but nonetheless, it's a team that had expectations this year. So getting to the semifinal, probably a positive in the conference. But kind of go back to the Battery. Ben Perman, new coach, first year with the Charleston Battery. But that's his second run to the conference final. He was with Memphis 901 last year. So great job in year one, which is difficult to do. So let's see how he does hosting the conference final in the East.
As you mentioned, it will be Louisville and the other team in the East who will take on Charleston. We'll preview that game a little bit more in just a moment. But big win for Louisville City. 4-0, their biggest margin of victory all year long as they get it done, taking down Detroit City FC, the 8th seed that had upset the top seed Pittsburgh to get to this point. Cameron Lancaster had 2 goals and an assist. Brian Ownby had a goal and an assist. The 9th consecutive conference final for Louisville City. What a run they've been on. I mean, they have been a high-performing club ever since they joined USL Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they're the standard right now. You look at the stadium that they've built, the teams that they've built, how they've come process with their coaching staff, and Danny Cruz, a player, one of their own, if you would. Shaky season a little bit. They were dealing with some injuries, but some great young prospects that have come out of their own academy as well. I don't know. Battery are tough at home, but Louisville, they just know how to win. So beating Detroit at home, probably expected 2 upsets kind of leading into that game. But going into the final, I think I might have to go with the renowned champions in Louisville, even though they're playing away at a really difficult team in Charleston.
That would be a 5 seed making it to the finals if your predictions stay as red hot as they have been so far. All right, now let's look out west, where Sacramento Republic took out the defending champion San Antonio. 3-1 the final there. Damian Viator and Nick Ross each with a goal and an assist. This was a game played in front of 10,618. What a scene in Sacramento.
Yeah, and Sac Republic, probably one of the better crowds in the league, especially. I mean, they've been predominant. They've been the dominant team, really across both conferences, but certainly in the West, they've been the best out there. Really never let their foot off the pedal and going into the playoffs. I mean, against the defending champion in San Antonio, we talked about maybe giving them a little bit of a hiccup, but it wasn't. It was 3-0 before you could count it. San Antonio scored in the very late stages of the game, but Sacramento, they just had the run of the play. They were good. They're strong. It's going to be difficult to knock them down.
3-1 the final there, and they will take on the 6th seed Phoenix Rising, a 2-1 winner over Orange County after extra time. Emil Coelho scoring in the 116th minute. Danny Trejo got a goal in the first half. And Orange County's Thomas Hemang got a goal. Then the second half completely scoreless. Had to go all the way to the 116th minute in order to find the solution of this one. What a game for Phoenix, coming out as the 6th seed.
Yeah, and super entertaining team. And you look at two teams, sometimes teams contrast a little bit against each other. These are two teams that are both attacking oriented. They're both kind of wide open. So even though the scoreline was 2-1 and it took until the very end of the second overtime to get the game winner, just again with a lot of chances. And in Orange County, they had a great season. For them to finish in second place, I think obviously they're going to be upset. They were at home against a 6 seed. But Phoenix, they're rolling right now, and we'll see kind of how they line up against. Now it is a contrast of opponents. Sacramento, a team that are a little bit more vertical, a little more direct. They play off the counter, super dangerous. And Phoenix just play a little more wide open. Coach Juan Guerra just has his team playing with a lot of confidence right now.
All right, what do you like? Who do you like here in the Western Conference Finals?
I would like to keep cheering for the underdog a little bit in Phoenix, but I think it's difficult to. After I saw the San Antonio and Sacramento game live, and Sac Republic, they just look too dangerous. They don't give up a whole lot of chances. And I have to go with Sacramento, the home team.
All right, let me give you the big picture question here. After watching all season, USL Championship, and now through the playoffs, what are your takeaways? What has really been shown here over the last couple of months in this league in terms of the style and quality of play in the USL Championship?
Yeah, and I think the style varies a little bit. I think you see teams get to the final playing a little more wide open, more entertaining. You look at Louisville, you look at Phoenix, and the contrast is Sacramento and Charleston play a little more reserved, kind of allow the game to come to them, and they can play off the counter. The interesting part is look at all the coaches. All young, up-and-coming coaches, right? Coaches that player coach, that were players in the league or players in MLS, representing our country in many different ways. So it's an exciting league because you have some young product in the league that are coming through, a lot of academy players that are coming through, but a league of a high standard. You look at the games, I mean, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, you look at it looks like a second, third tier division. Nowadays, I mean, many of these players are coming down from the MLS with a lot of experience, international Gold Cup experience players, some World Cup level players. So it's a league of high standard. The quality of the fields and facilities are really high, and it's entertaining. They're entertaining matches.
And I think you're getting a lot of attention for the USL Championship here of late, and we should share with you some news about the ownership growing for one USL Championship side, Oakland Roots. Jason Kidd, the great point guard, the NBA Hall of Famer, current Dallas Mavericks head coach, got in on the action, becoming a part owner of not only the Oakland Roots but also the Super League team. There are a number of former pro athletes getting into ownership. Of course, Tim Tebow here in Jacksonville. What does that tell you about where soccer is in America right now?
Well, you talk about these players they were top of in their sport as players, now as coaches, so they know the ins and outs of professional sports. And if you know anything, if you're a high level athlete, you know that soccer is still king in the world. It's just not here. So it's a matter of time. So I think a lot of them are seeing a great opportunity to kind of just put their feet into the water a little bit, kind of test it. Maybe not at the MLS level just yet, but kind of see, and they see the growth of the USL. They see the trajectory that it's kind of going on, and they want to be a part of that. So I think you're going to see more and more professional athletes, high-level investors be a part of our league on the men's and women's side because it's growing. And so to get names, it's exciting because it brings a little bit of excitement and credibility to the league. But these people aren't silly. They know what they're doing. So they see a great product. They want to invest on the early stage. So as it grows, they grow with it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what other notable names wind up jumping aboard as a part of ownership groups around the USL Championship and the USL Super League. All right, closer to home, this weekend we had the Refugee Cup. We had talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Really a great event. Mauricio, you were there at UNF. Hundreds of fans were there to watch a team of all-stars from the All-Nation Soccer League, refugees from other countries, taking on some local youth players as well. Your takeaways from not just the game, but the event in general and the impact that you see happening on the refugee side.
Well, on the soccer side, you just continue to get amazed at how many good soccer players there are, right? I mean, JFC, one of the more predominant youth organizations here, so they're going to have some good talent. But then you get a group of refugees that play on various different teams. Many of them don't really play organized soccer outside of a weekend football. So for them to come together and put on a great product, most players are 22 and younger, a couple older guys here and there. But the game was exciting. UNF was a great partner in this event, in their practice facility, great venue. But the impact to the refugees, the All-Star refugees, this was for them the bit of the World Cup, right? They come together, they get to represent not only their team, their families, but a lot of their families are still in refugee camps abroad. In the stat that they gave yesterday, still 35 million refugees are still in asylum somewhere. They're not placed. And Jacksonville happens to be one of the cities that receives refugees and will continue to receive more. And as we know, as the world game, they're bringing soccer with them. So to have a league like All Nations, to have other organizations that can support the families come in and give them something to do, some entertaining for them to have fun. And yesterday was exactly that. It was a celebration of what Jacksonville community can do, what soccer can inspire people to do, and how we can come together.
All right. Also locally, as far as the local soccer community is concerned, we want to remind you that we'll have the High School Soccer Media Day coming up, first of its kind, presented by folks here at JAX USL, as well as our partners with the YMCA, Island Wing Company involved as well. And Mauricio, this coming up on Thursday. We'll show you plenty of this in the next week's show, but really a great chance to put a spotlight on high school soccer in our area.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the excitement of soccer in our area in general. I mean, we put this event together only about 2 weeks ago with an idea from one of the local soccer coaches. We have over 40 high schools that will be coming on Thursday. Within less than 10 days of really putting the event together, that just shows the excitement, shows the participation that we have in the city. And this is away from youth club, pay-to-play model. This is just fun high school social time. So to have 40 plus representatives, boys and girls, going to come out, bring 2 of each on typically their captain, their senior player, their coaches will come out, just be a bit of a celebration, really a little bit of fun, take some pictures, get on social media, and kind of really act like the superstar players that they see on TV. Will give them the opportunity for a couple of hours.
Speaking of superstar players, we can't go before we mention the Ballon d'Or handed out on Monday. Of course, a lot of controversy and conversation every year about, on the women's side, maybe not a whole lot of controversy. Barcelona and Spanish national team star Aitana Bonmati wins. On the men's side, Lionel Messi takes it. He was presented by David Beckham, maybe fittingly there, maybe a little foresight in what was happening there. But Messi winning his 8th Ballon d'Or. Mm-hmm. I felt like maybe this was a little bit of a Lifetime Achievement Award situation, but when you're Lionel Messi and you win the World Cup, it's hard to argue too much with what happened there.
Yeah, it really is. And see, he still had the numbers to back it up, right? Mm-hmm. He was still top 5 in the world for most goals scored last year, still had a lot of assists. We forget the time that he had with PSG. He was still a really great player for a team that that was obviously had a lot of turmoil. But you would have liked to see maybe Erling Haaland and Mbappe have their day in the sun, but not quite yet. Messi's still around. It's tough to argue against winning the World Cup, right? You think that maybe individually Haaland would have had a better year, won the treble, broke the records in the English Premier League. But when you win the World Cup, and as you mentioned, you're Lionel Messi, whether it's a Life Achievement Award or just a recognition for a great year, the highest achievement that any footballer can make, scored 2 goals in the World Cup final. Hard to argue, even though some people will try to.
Maybe one of them might have argued a little bit. I mean, Haaland would have been a great choice, too, no doubt.
Probably a better choice, but we'll go with Messi.
He did score the most goals in the world, so that has to count for something. All right, a lot of conversation to have there. You can leave some comments below if you had a different thought on who should win the Ballon d'Or this year. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms as well. Big announcements coming up in the coming months for JAX USL. For Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks for joining us here on the JAX USL Report.